So Gallup is out with a list of the people who are most beloved within the past year and the people who are most despised within the past year. And boy, oh boy, is this fun. So right off the bat, I'll just say, take a guess, y'all. Take a guess who goes where. Because we got some amazing, amazing stuff here. So let me just start real quick with the most favorable people. Right now, the new Pope. The new Pope is number one. He is 46 points above water. So his unfavorable is only 11%. His favorable is 57. I mean, it makes sense, right? He's a Pope, so a religious leader, brand new to the job. Also, anything people have been able to dig up on him has been him, saying pretty good stuff, pretty pleasant stuff. He's against the massacre of innocent children in Gaza, which I know is seemingly a controversial position these days, but it's actually not. It's actually the correct position. So there's that. And then right underneath him, so here are the top three. Pope Leo is the first one. Then you have Zelensky is the second one. People clearly still have in their minds, they understand that Russia and Putin illegally and offensively invaded Ukraine. People understand that. And here's a leader who's been put in an impossible position, and he's doing the best he can. So he's over water, 18 points. His favorable is 52. His unfavorable is 34. And then the third most beloved public figure, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is 11 points above water. His favorable is 49, but his unfavorable is only 38. So that makes sense to me. These numbers make sense to me. All right, now let's get to the really fun portion. And by the way, yes, it matters that one of the most beloved public figures happens to be one of the only big name Democratic socialists who's a politician. That matters. And that's right in line with what we learned when FDR won the presidency four times, and held 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate. Because when Americans got a little taste of democratic socialism or social democracy, they went, yummy in my tummy, give me this forever. And so it makes sense that Bernie's there. All right, here we go. Now, number one most despised person in the country, Elon Musk. What a tremendous fall from grace, bro. There was a time when he was among the most beloved people in the country. There was a time when he was among the most beloved. When people looked at him as this mega genius who's just an entrepreneur who's solving problems and figuring out how to get us to Mars, bro, and build better spaceships and stuff, bro. And then that all went away. Why? He endorsed Trump, gave him $270 million to get the White House, and then he decided to illegally hack into our government and raise all sorts of hell. And this is, the craziest part is people don't even talk about this enough. He's the most despised person in the country, and people don't even talk about the worst things he did all the time. We're the only ones who do it. I'm the only one who tells you that this dude is responsible for cutting pediatric cancer research, and I try to remind you that on a weekly basis. This guy cut NOAA and the NWS, National Weather Service, and that's why we didn't get adequate warnings, and children died in Texas from flooding, and people died in Kentucky from tornadoes, all because this asshole cut the number of weather balloons and fired 600 people at NOAA and the NWS. That's all on Elon Musk. That's all on Donald Trump. Cut Meals on Wheels. Cut the CFPB, which is the anti-scam police. It was a beloved government agency that just makes sure Americans aren't defrauded by big financial institutions. Fired nuclear safety officials, destroyed FEMA, destroyed the Department of Education, fired 83,000 veterans, fired 250,000 government workers, cut half the Social Security offices, fired the food safety inspectors. Now there's no more routine food safety inspectors, destroyed the air traffic controllers, had 7 plane crashes under Trump as a direct result of that. Of course, the U.S. aid cuts, which will literally lead to millions and millions of deaths. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact. That's a fact. And so, think about that, man. People don't even talk about this, and he's the most unpopular guy in the country now. And a lot of it probably has to do with how he snuggled up to Trump. A lot of it probably has to do with how he took $38 billion in subsidies, and he's got dick to fucking show for it. Every other day, there's seemingly a launch of a starship, and it fucking explodes. I mean, how many, what are we? Are we double digits yet with the number of rockets that this motherfucker exploded because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing? This is a guy who, classic vaporware, overpromise, underdeliver, scam people left and right, and now people are finally fucking onto it. They're onto it. Most despised man in America, Elon Musk, the most despised man. And by the way, he's launching a political party. He's launching a political party, y'all. Oh, that's amazing. That is incredible. That is special. Imagine taking literally the most despised man in the... Imagine, like, Ted Bundy announced today he's starting the America Party. Oh, that's incredible. It's true. Charles Manson has decided to get in politics. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. And you know who helped? Andrew Yang and Mark Cuban were like, I'll help you, sir. Oh, my God. Oh, that's so embarrassing. That's the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen in my life. So Elon Musk, most despised. Right behind him, Benjamin Netanyahu is the second most despised person in the country. Netanyahu actually has a lower favorability rating than Elon. So Elon's favorability is 33. Netanyahu's is 29. But he makes up for it on the other end because Elon Musk has higher unfavorables. Imagine having higher unfavorables than a guy who's live streaming a genocide. A guy who's literally starving millions of people, including babies right now. You're more unpopular than, like, the new Adolf Hitler, Elon. Now that takes talent. Or anti-talent, whatever you want to call it. It takes something. It takes something that's really ugly and really dark. You must have the most off-putting aura known to man. And by the way, Joe Rogan's still meat riding this freak. Let's put that out there too. Joe Rogan still in the cult, the church of fucking Elon Musk. Which, oh God, it's so sad. Oh, it's so sad. Elon Sims, how you feeling, dog? How all you feeling out there? More unpopular than Benjamin Netanyahu. So anyway, what I was going to say is Elon has a favorability of 33. Netanyahu's lower at 29, but Elon's unfavorability, his disapproval is higher. So Elon's at 61 unfavorability or disapproval. Benjamin Netanyahu's at 52. So that means Elon is minus 28 overall, and Netanyahu is minus 23 overall. And then a tie for the third most despised, both Marco Rubio and Donald Trump. They're both at minus 16 overall. So, I mean, it makes sense, right? It makes sense. It's so weird to me how all the data, the actual data, the numbers that come in, it just validates the worldview that we're espousing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that to be cocky. I'm not saying that to pat us on the back. I'm just saying it's, like, objectively true that, oh, look, one of the most beloved figures in the country is the Democratic Socialist Bernie Sanders, right? Oh, look, one of the most hated figures in the country is Donald fucking Trump, who's ruining everything right now as we speak. Bombing countries willy-nilly, shoving people in concentration camps with no due process whatsoever, increasing inflation with his stupid fucking trade war, the most corrupt president anybody's ever seen ever by far, and it's not even close. It's like, oh, it's all, like, the world makes sense when you look at these numbers. It does. Like, it starts to make sense again. So, just to reiterate, the most beloved, one more time, Pope Leo, Zelensky, Bernie Sanders. The most hated, Elon, Netanyahu, and a tie between Marco Rubio and Trump for third. That makes sense to me, dog. That makes sense to me. So even in the midst of this hell world that we live in, with all the death and destruction and carnage and ugliness that we see on a daily basis, at least keep in mind, somewhere, people are sort of diagnosing the situation appropriately. To be fair to Elon, I actually would put Netanyahu below him. I mean, if you're doing a genocide, if you're the modern Adolf Hitler, right? Like, you could make a stretch of an argument for Elon, though, because literally the U.S. aid cuts will lead to millions of deaths. But that's more, I don't know, then you get into a conversation about that's more of withholding something that leads to the deaths is, well, I mean, I was going to say like withholding the medicine, malaria medication, HIV medication that leads to the death. Is that so different from withholding the food, as Netanyahu is doing, which is leading to the starving and the deaths of all these innocent people? I don't know. Maybe it's a tie. Maybe Elon and Netanyahu are a tie. And look, I'm also willing to hear Trump being just as evil as them. But the fact of the matter is, it's his raw charisma and his ability in front of a camera makes up for a lot of other shit. So people don't see him as evil, even though it's close. You know what I'm saying? Like, he probably is the chief villain of all this shit. He's orchestrating all this shit. The genocide, the cuts to the social safety net, all that. But since he's like, orange man funny to people, it's like, the other guys are worse. So there you have it. The most despised people in the country. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.